going through data breaches. So we're gonna try to find out how hackers got into certain systems, whether that's hospitals, company, et cetera, right? So we're gonna do that right now. Let's go through it. This time I'm gonna use Yandex to try to find something interesting. So let's do that. Hacking breaches. Alright. Hacking breaches the technical side. Let's see something cool pops up. The dark side of cybersecurity, common, hacking. See what this brings up. Why not? I guess. Let me see. What are dark web hackers? Motivation, phishing. Hackers exploit human vulnerabilities, deceive individuals, and manipulate them into revealing confidential information or gaining unauthorized access. Hackers leverage various tactics, including phishing. Hackers send deceptive emails or create fake websites that mimic legitimate organizations. So we know that phishing is the biggest way into a system. So let me see. Pretexting, hackers create a fabricated scenario to gain the trust of their targets and extract personal information. This technique is often involves personating a trusted authority figure. Example, this is very interesting. Pretexting would be, I'm assuming, it is social engineering, or I guess it would be like maybe somebody pretending that they need help, that they lost their password, and they call up, they'll either text somebody in AT or something, and they'll trick them into giving them their password or something like that. So stuff like that. That's what pretexting is. Baiting. Hackers offer something enticing, such as free software or a price, to lure individuals into taking actions that compromise their security. This is another interesting tactic. So if I had to do this, how would I do it? From a hacker's perspective, you could maybe offer somebody crypto, or you could pretend to be from a lottery company. You could pretend to be maybe a CEO and offer the said person that you're trying to bait that they're getting a job promotion and they need to log in, and then from there you can get the credentials. So maybe something like that. I could see a scenario like that. So baiting is that. Ransomware. Hackers leverage various forms of malware to encrypt victims' files and demand a financial ransom for the release. Example, a hacker exploits a vulnerability in outdated software to gain access to a company's servers and extorts them for money in exchange for not corrupting important data. So outside espionage or a backdoor tool that gets like information from a organization, like a Trojan tool, I would say that ransomware is probably the most devastating of all of them, just because it'll encrypt everything in a hard drive. It'll encrypt all the information. In order for you to get that back, you would have to pay them a ransom. That's why it's called ransomware. And this is especially devastating if whatever server or computer is housing personal information, that you're pretty much kicking it out of commission, right? Once it gets encrypted. So you gotta be careful on what you click on, and unfortunately, some of these 0 days could be leveraged for this sort of attack. So let's go down here, malware attacks. Making use of malicious software, dark web hackers infect systems, steal data, or launch further attacks. Let's look at some of the types of malware used in these attacks. Viruses, a malicious program that infects files and populates to the system, corrupting data or disrupting functionality. Example, a hacker sends an infected email attachment that, once open, installs a virus that gives the attacker access to the recipient's computer. And then the worms, a self-replicating program that spreads across networks and works to infect multiple systems. They can cause significant damage by consuming network resource and compromising data. Example, a hacker exploits a vulnerability in network service and releases a worm that rapidly spreads to other devices within the network, disrupting operations. The interesting thing about worms is the fact that the only way they truly work is if they have a 0-day vulnerability on a program, on a port, because they work on scanning networks, right? And that's how they spread. So if one computer gets infected, the worm program on that infected computer starts scanning the local network address, and it starts looking for a specific program that's vulnerable, and then from there, once it finds it, it'll affect that computer, and then it'll use that computer to scan other computers. So essentially, a worm is just a program that scans networks to see if it's vulnerable to whatever ODay it's programmed to use. So there's that. And then Trojans, right? Like I was mentioning to you guys, Trojans is a program where it allows you to access a computer, kind of like a backdoor access. So this one right here is also devastating. I'd put it below ransomware, because now this person has access to your computer. This person knows exactly what you're doing, depending on the sophistication of the program, of the shell. Like Interpreter, for example, is a good way to record keystrokes. You could view the person's webcam. You could record. You could take pictures. You could record the actual screen. You could upload and download. You could upload and download files. You can install programs. So that's how sophisticated some of the shell exploits are. So Trojan programs can have all these functionalities as well. So the infamous DDoS attack, right? Distributed denial of service attacks involves overwhelming the target system or network with a flood of traffic, rendering them inaccessible to legitimate users. Let's look at one way DDoS attacks are launched. Through botnets. Hackers infect numerous computers or devices with malware, creating a network of compromised machines called a botnet. Then they use this collection of devices to send a massive wave of traffic to the target, overwhelming its resources. Example, a hacker infects thousands of computers with malware, turning them into zombies that are controlled remotely and used collectively to inundate a website server, rendering them inaccessible. So actually, you can actually DOS. What people don't know is that you can actually DDoS your own network with one computer. But to DDoS a computer on the internet is a lot harder. So that's why a lot of DDoS attacks happen with botnets. So what would happen is one person who controls all these robots will put an IP address, and then they'll just flood it with a bunch of traffic, right? So, and then they'll actually not send normal traffic. It'll be just continuous traffic to that certain port. And because computers take it so many requests, it'll just keep slowly taking the packets that from the attacking computers, that it can't take any legitimate it won't take any legitimate connections. So that's how DDoS attacks work, and they can be devastating. It depends on what it takes down. I mean, obviously there's a lot of online services, and There's banking. Sometimes you can, there's schooling, or whatever, right? So a DDoS attack can be devastating. Password cracking is another attack. So dark web hackers employ various techniques to crack weak or stolen passwords, giving them access to systems or accounts. Here's a few common ways that it's done. Brute forcing. Hackers apply automated tools that systematically try every possible combination of characters until the correct password is found. Dictionary attacks. Hackers utilize a pre-built list of common words, phrases, or passwords to officially guess the correct password. Credential stuffing. Hackers wield stolen usernames and password combinations from one website or data breach and try them on websites, exploiting individuals who reuse passwords across multiple platforms. That's super interesting. Strengthen your defenses against dark web hackers. I always tell people, don't download stuff that you're not supposed to. Don't install software that you're not supposed to on company computers. Make sure your password's strong. Don't click on links that look shady. Don't visit websites you're not supposed to be visiting. Don't reply to any shady looking email that says, hey, I'm gonna need your credentials to fix this issue or that issue, etc., right? So if you follow these guidelines, the chances of you falling victim to a hacker falls relatively low. So definitely don't do, just stay away from the shady stuff, and I think you'll be all right. So this site was extremely helpful, kind of gave us an idea of how hackers work. But let's keep looking. Let's see what we find. So hacking technique, breach effectiveness, and prevention tips. Hacking techniques, top hacking techniques. Let's see what we get here. Hacking techniques, breach effects, and prevention tips. Top hacking techniques: malware, phishing, and SQL injection. So this is a new one here. This web attack, targets companies that use SQL to access information from their database. Hackers will employ malicious code to manipulate the back-end databases to obtain information that's not displayed. Successful SQL injection attacks can wipe entire databases, putting customer data at risk, and potentially tarnishing the company's reputation if client information is hacked. Significant hacks and data breaches of 2018. The effects of data breach can be devastating and ripple through an organization, leading to damages of catastrophic proportion. The following is a snapshot of some of the latest year's most crippling cyber attacks and data security breaches. So here's a list of what happened in 2018, or the companies that got hacked. So Bank of Montreal and Bank of Montreal and Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. Two of Canada's biggest lenders reported that fraudsters compromised 90,000 customers' records in May 2018. That is not good. At HAR database, over 1.1 billion registered Indian citizens' demographic and biometric information was exposed from a leak in the government's database. Hackers got access to fingerprints, bank accounts, and government records. That is not good. And then Marriott Starwood Hotels. Financial information, passport copies, and mailing addresses from over 500 guests were stolen from their database in late September 2018. And then MyFitnessPal, 150 million usernames, email addresses, and encrypted passwords were hacked in a cyber attack in February 2018. The positive about this one is that encrypted passwords were stolen. So now you gotta brute force the encrypted passwords to try to get them right. So hopefully their policies, or their user creation policy when they create an account, forces them to create a password that's 12 characters long, and allow them to use numbers and symbols. So it's very hard for a hacker to brute force and using some like random simple password list that they'll find on the internet. So that's good. Encrypted passwords. Yeah, they did get usernames. It sucks because email addresses can be used. It could be sold. Again, it could be used for phishing campaigns, etc. So Facebook, over 30 million users' records were hacked in September 8, 2018, exposing personal data such as religion, date of birth, check-in locations, associated companies, names, and more. That's interesting. I would love to see how they got into this. Let's go deeper into this one. Google. Let's do this one. Idaho earthquakes. Facebook 2018 data breach. 20. The view as a vulnerability. Okay, let me see. Alright, in 2018, a Facebook data breach exposed the personal information of nearly 50 million users. The breach was caused by a vulnerability in the View As feature, which allowed attackers to steal access coins and take over user accounts. The vulnerability existed between July 2017 and September 2018. Wow. Facebook has since fixed their flaw and reset affected accounts. Here's more detailed breakdown. The View vulnerability. This feature, which allows users to see how their profile appears to others, had a flaw that made it possible for attackers to steal access tokens. Access tokens. These tokens are digital keys that keep the user logged in, allowing them to access their accounts without logging in every time. Alright, so I don't know if you ever logged into a Twitter account or your Instagram account and not have to put in the username or password. So what happens is that the browser saves a access token, and the access token is like the identity of your account. So once the Facebook website reads your access token, it'll give you your user account. That's how you're able to use it. So somehow this vulnerability allowed hackers to get other people's accounts through access token. So let's go down here. Let's see what we see. Facebook's response. Facebook reset the access token for the affected accounts and also reset tokens for an additional 40 million accounts as a precautionary measure. The breach led to the exposure to personal information, including names, genders, and hometowns. Ooh. Alright, guys, hold on. I'll be back. Alright, just give me a second. Let me do something real quick. That didn't work. Let me see. Alright, so I'm back. Sorry for being gone for a little bit. But, here we go. Alright. Let me see how the 19 Facebook breach happened. Maybe there's a good article on it, so let's see if we can find something on that. Let's see what happened and how. Facebook data breach, what happened and how to prevent it. Not really getting any information on it. I was expecting to get a little bit more like technical know-how. Facebook. Data breaches explained. GitHub. Maybe there's something on GitHub that I'll explain. What is a data breach? Cybersecurity breach analysis. Maybe this one. Maybe this will explain it. Let me see. Cybersecurity breaches. Nope, nothing useful. Breach explained. GitGuardian blog. Misconfiguration in Google Firebase leads to over 90.8 million leaked secrets. On March 19th, the news broke that the researchers uncovered more than 19.8 million plain text credentials publicly exposed to the instances of Google's Firebase. Firebase is a popular ad development platform used by over 3 million developers worldwide and nearly 4,000 enterprises. In mid-March, 3 security researchers, Mr. Bra, Ziva, and Logic, discovered the secrets while checking more than 5 million websites with security flaws. This was a follow-up to the previous research in which they were able to gain super admin permissions due to misconfigurations. This new round of research revealed that 960 websites that had either no security rules implemented or where security was misconfigured. Not only were the plaintext secrets discovered, but more than 125 million sensitive user records containing emails, names, and phone numbers and billing information with bank details were discovered. According to the original reporting summary, these numbers should be taken with a grain of salt. They are likely larger than shown here. I mean, I'm assuming they did some sort of like endpoint, like brute forcing, and endpoints are these, right? So it'd be like this. So they probably found a passwords file or something, because to keep passwords or anything in plain text, especially a lot of it is an absolute no-no. And the fact that they were able to find that, it's a big tisker. All right, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little tired. I'll actually probably stream later on today. I'll do another one. We'll go over more breaches, and then we'll kind of like try to understand how they were done. You know,